Ladies and gentlemen, I am Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran, and today we're going to be breaking down the footage of the Ukraine Foreign Legion. This is all the foreign fighters that come to Ukraine to fight with the Ukrainian armed forces, and more importantly, we're going to be doing an in-depth gear breakdown, understanding exactly what they're rocking, and trying to figure out how their gear reflects the different nature of this conflict as opposed to, say, the Afghan conflict that I fought in. Let's get into it. Oh yeah, that sounds like a Humvee, because it is. Okay, so first and foremost, what we're seeing here is the inside of what looks like a US-made Humvee. This is all sort of a blast from the past. It looks like an armored Humvee, but not one of the heavier armored ones that you saw in the mid-Iraq War. But I suspect these guys are using these Humvees exactly as they were originally designed to be used. Humvees weren't originally combat vehicles. They were meant to be operated behind the front lines to move troops, personnel, equipment up and down the battlefield. They were never meant to be the combat vehicles they became in Iraq and Afghanistan. That turret was just for self-defense. Now let's take a look at this guy as we move along. Okay, always sort of bothered by the undone helmet strap. I get it, the helmet strap is annoying and it gets pretty filthy and gross, but in a vehicle, if you were to, even if you're not in a combat area or an area with a high likelihood of, say, an IED, you still run the risk of vehicle accidents. Even just your vehicle hitting a big speed bump is going to jostle you around, and the skin inside that Humvee, well, that's all armor plating. So if your head hits against it, you're going to slice your scalp open or potentially even get a concussion. It doesn't take much. So you always want to make sure that helmet's on so that as your head whips around, you've got something protecting you from getting sliced open on the inside of your own vehicle. He's also got his active headphones on, right? These are usually battery powered and they allow the user to hear lower sounds like voices, but they muffle out the loudest sounds like gunshots. They can be really effective, but of course, because they're battery powered, you have to, well, have access to batteries. Another piece of credit I want to give this guy is, first off, he's got elbow pads actually strapped on, and he has ballistic glasses. If you've listened to any of my videos recently, you know that I go absolutely bananas for people that don't wear ballistic glasses in combat. Why? Because it's the dumbest reason to lose your combat effectiveness. If you get debris, dirt, a stick in your eye, that's it. You're out of the war, right? And what a silly reason to lose a combat soldier is because they got it doesn't even necessarily have to be from gunfire directly or from an explosion directly. It can be the dirt kicked up by a mortar round. It can be a little rock that a gunshot ricochet kicks up. Silly reasons to get debris in your eye, which again can easily damage your eyes. So buying a literally $25 pair of ballistic rated glasses is going to preserve your eyesight. And you can see they're even sunglasses. All right, so there it looks like they have, that looks like an M2 Browning machine gun on the turret there. You can see it's got the little turret shield, and it looks like the driver is wisely driving at kind of a whole defilade, right? The gunner is getting down behind the turret, right? No reason to expose yourself needlessly, right? He would pop up and engage targets with the weapon system if targets presented themselves. But otherwise, why make yourself a target for snipers or drones? Okay, we can see here, it looks like an M4 or M16 style rifle, and he's got a tactical flashlight on the end. An interesting choice. Probably pretty useful, even in the daylight when you're clearing houses. You can see he has a nod mount, but no NVGs that I can see. Still, when you're clearing, say, the inside of a house, that flashlight's probably going to be your best bet to see into dark corners and in other areas that are obfuscated. You can also see here, this is the tube of a Camelback running up from the back. This is another sign that this is probably a soldier with a little bit of experience, right? Because he knows that staying hydrated is a non-negotiable in combat. And if you've ever spent any length of time in not even just combat, but even just being a hiker, a backpacker, an outdoorsman, you know that running out of water is something that happens rapidly. You basically have to constantly put water in because you're constantly sweating and perspiring and breathing that moisture out. So having something like a Camelback that you can always just sip and go is essential. I personally was not a fan of the Camelbacks just because it was such a pain to refill, and I didn't really like the hose. I found that a lot of times when I would have to get down and it would get caught on things, it was constantly coming undone. I just liked having a canteen, but I was sort of an old school curmudgeon in that way. Yep, this looks like the inside of a Humvee, all right. Some looks like maybe white tips, so I think maybe tracer rounds. Half-finished water bottle. You hope it's a water bottle because, you know, sometimes on these long trips, it can be a security risk to stop and use the bathroom, right? So what you want to do, make sure you've got is, well, you know, a designated water bottle where you can do your business and not have to get out of the armored skin of the Humvee. Of course, you're also on a timeline, right? Like, you don't want to spend an extra hour on the road because literally every person in your convoy had to stop and take a piss. We've also got what looks like a cable to maybe a radio system of some kind right here. Okay, this is wild. This destroyed Russian vehicle right here. This looks like a Russian made one of their, like, the Russian answer to the MRAP. You can see it's got its door open. It looks like it's already been picked over by Ukrainian forces or the Russian forces who abandoned it. Looks like this got hit as part of an airstrike. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. Just look at this road. Look at the level of debris. You can very clearly see that some Ukrainian forces went in and cleared this road, not just cleared it of explosives, but literally pushed the debris out of the way to ensure their forces had freedom of movement. So the driver looks like he doesn't have gloves, and he looks like he's wearing a like Equix level 3 parka. These are great in cold weather. I love them, actually. I still have mine that I use when I go backpacking. It's a great mid-layer. And it's affordable, especially if you're willing to get the ACU gray-green. You can go on eBay and get them for like 15 bucks. Just wild to see the devastation behind the front lines. You just don't appreciate the scale of this sort of total war. This is exceptional even by Afghanistan or Iraq standards. This is what I imagine perhaps the invasion of Iraq looked like in the immediate aftermath. Okay, so now we're cutting to what looks like a staging area. Staging areas, or AAs, assembly areas, are usually a secure area before you step off, before you pass your line of departure and go from being kind of this rear area type operation to your actual combat ready posture. As you can see, these guys are rocking a kind of mishmash of gear, right? Here's someone with what looks like an ACH. Here's someone with a more advanced like fast helmet. You could see this guy's looking pretty light on the gear. Based on the curvature of this vest, I don't even know if he has armor plates. See, I'm looking right here, and I always try to assess. This is obviously a plate carrier, but plate carriers, the only ballistic plates, these are plates that will stop an assault rifle round or greater. They're rigid. They're either rigid ceramic or rigid steel. And the fact that it has this bend like this tells me that there might not be a solid plate in there. Normally, you want the plate to cover your heart and lungs, right? Because almost everywhere else you get hit, barring some like arteries and stuff, you can get saved by a cache, right? You can last an hour and get saved by a cache, more or less. Again, barring kidneys and arteries. So you want your ballistic plate to cover right here, sternum, down, lungs, close, on both sides, front and back. So if you don't see that, right, then you got a problem. And so this makes me think this guy might not have plates. In contrast, this guy looks way more geared out. You can see, look at this. Look at this. You can see that there's a very rigid front plate right here. You notice the shape there. It's sort of stuck. And it says to me that this guy's probably got plates. Maybe they just wear front plates. That's sometimes a traditional, like, tough guy kind of move, is to sit there and be like, I'm not going to run away from the enemy. I'm going to take out the plates in my back because I'm never going to turn and run. It's like, bro, you ever heard of fire and maneuver? Like, you're not running from the enemy if you're flanking them, but you might still get shot in the back. So this guy's also got what looks like IR beacon designators. No, I'm sorry. These are headsets. This is a headset. All right, you got this guy here with some sort of anti-tank weapon. Again, one set of glasses. So what I'm seeing here is not actually bad gear, but I am seeing a real hodgepodge. But look at this. Look at what this guy's rocking. Let's back up these a couple frames. This dude with his minimalist gear, and maybe my mind's changing. Maybe this is the outline of a plate, of a ballistic plate. Right here, you see kind of what I'm talking about? Maybe. I hope so. But look at this. This looks like a scar, right? Look, here's a silencer, or a suppressor, excuse me. But then this mechanism, this looks like something you would expect out of a scar, maybe a G3. This is a very, very high-end rifle. All right, shout out to Tough Guy with no helmet. I'm already bothered by this guy. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He has the helmet. He just took it off because he's over it. Good. That's fine, as long as you have it. Also, shout out to the pen tucked in the molly webbing. Also into that, right? This is somebody who knows that in combat, oftentimes you have to give or receive instructions. You have to sketch your sector, what you're looking at. That's actually a pretty savvy call, right? Even to be able to take down information about, say, you're on a scouting mission and you observe the enemy and you want to write down what you see and when. You want to, draw a route or mark a target on a map. So it sounds silly, but the pen is sometimes just as mighty as your sword in combat. He has looks like a very high-end helmet, right? You can see it's got all the crisscross stuff. It's got mounting for lights, probably NVG mounts on the front. He's also got quite a bit of, it looks like M4 or like FAL magazines, and on not just the front, but the sides. And he has what looks like a proper plate, but a little narrow. I think that might be a little small for my taste, but I've seen other people with that level of plate carrier. So all in all, this dude's probably geared kind of appropriately. All right, shout out to this dude. Let's take a look at what he's got here. Yeah, this is looking like another maybe scar, but he looks like he has some sort of advanced. Let's say advanced. It looks like he has some sort of variable scope optic on here. This is some serious business, and this is a serious guy. Again, higher end helmet, NVG mounts, lights on the side. Looks like he has a proper plate carrier. This is all giving me the vibe of probably one of the more military figures in all this. All his gear. So when you've got, okay, here's how the best way, in my experience, to assess gear. The reason Special Forces guys have a reputation of looking so sort of cobbled together is because their gear is tailored to their mission. They don't really give a shit how they look, right? They give a shit how their gear performs and that they have the right gear for the task. And the tasks are different when you are doing light infantry, like force-on-force work, right? So you're going to have gear tailored to that task. And so you can sort of assess the difference between who looks like they're trying to recreate a Call of Duty skin and having all these superfluous features that don't add combat effectiveness, and who is just geared with the right stuff. That's the thing. You don't want the most stuff. You just want the right stuff. Right now, this guy looks like he's up there. Sorry, this guy right here looks like he's up there. All right, this dude's also not a bad minimalist look. Again, what looks like maybe a scar, but look at this optic right here. So this is actually a scope on the front end, and you can pull it like into place to give you magnification, or push it away and it functions as a close combat optic. He also has a suppressor. Probably not running subsonic rounds, but by running a suppressor, he's less likely to damage his own hearing. It means that in a firefight, he'll be able to talk and hear what's going on, and it won't really impact the ballistics of the rounds. You notice right here, he has scissors. That's another call that this guy may know what he's doing, because scissors are good for a couple of reasons. First, obviously, if you're a medic and you need to cut away a wounded soldier's uniform, scissors are great for it. They're also great to allow you to cut yourself free of, say, a vehicle. If your vehicle's damaged, oftentimes the seatbelts or other cordage will get caught, and it's easy to have a tool that you can pull out, slice yourself out of a situation, and move on, right? So all in all, yeah, a kind of a sign of experience. Also, notice the watch. He doesn't have his watch on his hand because he doesn't want his wrists getting caught on doors and snagged on bushes and stuff. He wants to keep his hands free, but he wants to be able to check what time it is. Well, how do you solve that problem? The answer is you put your watch right here so that you can always look down and get your timing right. This is essential for making sure, for example, that if you and your friendlies are going to coordinate an attack or attack at the same time or have some sort of phased operation, that you need to know exactly what time it is down to the minute. He's also just got a basic helmet, but you notice he's got his chin strap on. So I'm seeing not a lot of gear, but all of it's worn properly. The only thing I would have, and it's a minor critique, is that when you put a distinct like black or yellow or some other marker right here, that's kind of how targets look in a shooting gallery. Again, it's pretty minor, it's black, and I get it. Okay, what are these guys? These guys look like an anti-rocket type team. Also wearing, this guy, no eye protection, bad. This guy, shooting glasses, eye pro, an N-Law. Gear looks good. He's got 2 grenades, and it looks like he has a lot of grenade pouches, right? There's 1, 2 here that look empty. He has 1, 2 grenades right here. Then he has, oh, he has more. 1, 2, 3. Those are smoke grenades. I'm just really curious now what his role is, because he may be like a machine gunner who may not carry his extra rounds, his extra drums, like in his chest kit. Maybe he's a designated like anti-armor weapon system operator, in which case he may literally not have an individually issued weapon, but that seems pretty reckless. Let's see if we zoom in on him. Guy looks older. Yeah, looks like he's probably... Okay, so it could be this thing strapped across his back here. This could be a drum, maybe, for some sort of magazine. I don't know. This guy's giving me, like, German army vibes. I can't really explain to you why. There's just something about his face, the sort of casual stance that says that this guy was like an infantryman in like European armed forces and is now out here. Okay, so look, there's these 3 anti-tank weapons. I think these are AT-4s or javelins or something. And then I'm not sure what these black boxes are, honestly. Like right here, you see what I'm talking about? I don't know what those are. Let me know in the comments if you can give me any insight. There might be some sort of mechanism to launch it. Okay, there's a tough guy again. And yeah, I don't really have any insights into his gear. He has a lot of magazines, like a lot of magazines, and not a lot else, which is, he's got basically magazines, and he has an IFAK, an individual first aid kit right here. And that's pretty much it. Oh, but he's got an appropriate... Wait. There's no camel back here. Brother, where's your hydration? Okay. No gloves. Watch on the wrist. I don't know, man. He might be our leading Call of Duty player right now. Yeah, the scar. Okay, this says Légion étrangère. That is the symbol of the French Foreign Legion. So This guy, if he has military experience, it was with the French Foreign Legion. That's someone who is not effing around, okay? If you know the Foreign Legion, they are, well, you think, oh, France hasn't been in a war. Nah, man, the French have been operating in the French Foreign Legion, especially in Mali for years. They were in Afghanistan for years. So those guys are serious and bring real combat experience to the fold. What do I think of this guy? These look like, I can't tell. He's definitely got the right plate carrier. Probably. He's got the glasses. There you go. British guy. British Armed Forces. Yeah, not seeing a plate, though, in this plate carrier.
It's war for Georgians as well. I'm just a 22-year-old kid.
Okay, so this is a Georgian fighter. All right, 22. So maybe doesn't have that much active duty experience.
And I feel that's the right thing to do. And we're gonna push Russians back. It's gonna take a day, month, or a year. It doesn't matter. We are on the right side of the history. So
look at that squad leader checking his guy, making sure he's got water. That's a that right there is a, I don't know if it's just American, but that is a super American squad leader move of being like, hey, we're getting ready to go. You've got your 2-member fire team. You just give him a check. Hey, he's just checking his water. Yep, literally he gives his camelback a pat, feels that there's water in there, knows this guy's good to go, moves right along.
Sure.
Those are called PCCs, PCIs. And look at this guy. He's like me. He's not a fan of the camelback, right? He's got actual like Gatorade and electrolyte mix right here. This is smart. The military actually issues you electrolyte mix sometimes. I got issued it when I was in airborne school, but it's essential because, again, when you lose sweat, you sweat out not just your water, but you sweat out electrolytes. And over time, if you put water in and you sweat out electrolytes and water, then you're going to actually risk an electrolyte imbalance. Again, over like days or hours of intense combat. So, but it's always good to have at least your first drink maybe to be some like light electrolyte water. Can't hurt.
all of us are gonna get back home with their families and make sure that occupants are not gonna do the same.
Okay, look at this. Look at this man. This is a look right here. Looks like he's got some sort of... I'm just so confused. This looks like maybe a parka of some kind that he has. And he has a ballistic vest. He's got a backpack with the shoulder strap. Give him credit. This guy looks like he's in his 40s, man. And smoking a cigarette. I give you credit. I mean, I give all these guys credit, to be clear. You show up here, you choose to fight with the Ukrainian Foreign Legion. You have my immense respect. These guys seem like they're fighting for the right reasons. Good on them, you know, good on them. That said, right, I'm trying to size up who's coming here with armed forces experience, who's coming here with combat experience, who's coming here with special forces combat experience, and who is here coming with Call of Duty experience. And that's the whole game. And here's what's interesting is that smart guys, they are going to look at the more experienced fighters and they are going to model themselves off of them. That's what makes units combat effective, right? US military happens all the time. You guys who have been on deployment, who are on their second or third deployment, you naturally look to them for cues about what's the right gear, what's the right setup, what's the right way to go about this. So presumably, I imagine that these guys are doing the same thing. Dude's rocking an AK, it looks like an AKM. Okay, respect to this guy for having this. This is the look of someone who was in like, oh, I'm sorry. Let me give you guys that. There, this is the look of someone who was in like the original Iraq invasion. You notice the big ballistic goggles with the dust cover. He may be a gunner. That's a classic move for gunners, is to have the bigger goggles, just because there's so much more debris when you're the gunner of a on top of a vehicle, right? There's obviously vehicles in front of you kicking up rocks and dirt. If you get hit with an IED, there's a ton of debris that's coming at you. So having those bigger, more robust ballistic goggles can be worth it. Yeah, respect to the guys who are just like covering their faces. I get where that comes from. The press is around. They may not have consented. Their families may not know they're here. It may not be legal in their country for them to fight for another nation's armed forces, and so they may prefer to minimize the amount of evidence. I believe that's actually the move of probably the smarter Ukrainian Foreign Legion, right? Take your pictures, keep them on a flash drive, don't put them on the internet. You know, get home to your home country and don't put so much evidence out there that you're a foreign volunteer, because that's like daring your home country to prosecute you, especially if it's not legal to do so. Okay, whoa, let's back this up. What is this? Look at this crazy vibe. Here is his camelback. This is his water source. It's so low on his back. Why is it this low? Why can you not mount it to your plate carrier like you should? Did it break? Maybe the straps broke? Like normally you can just strap it to yourself and hook it on. This is wild. Actually, I think that's exactly what happened, because look, these are shoelaces or like 550 cord. So yeah, I think literally that's what happened. I think his camelback straps broke and he had to do this dumb improvised solution. See, this is what I talk about when I say that's why I'm a water bottle man. The camelbacks just fall apart all the time, right? Water bottles are easy. They have one moving part, the lid. That's it. Water bottle, canteen, whatever. So here's what's interesting. Just like we talked about, you notice they're out of the Humvees. They're getting into what look like proper armored personnel carriers. This is them ready to go in and get off. Whoa! Also, zoom it in. You know what SFODA means. Special Operations, I think it's a Special Forces Operational Detachment Alpha. That's usually not amateur hour. Yeah, that says that these guys are serious warfighters. If that's true, it could mean something different in Ukraine for Ukrainian forces. It's tough to say. I don't know. Would I wear like an MP patch? Probably not. I probably wouldn't want to wear any patches that distinguish me as some sort of noteworthy person in a conflict. And so now I think this is just the Humvees that have ferried their troops driving back through. And it's one of the things that, you know, I've talked about elsewhere in videos, that you forget that to put combatants into the fight, it requires a whole other army of support personnel who, again, these guys are taking risks. Russian airstrikes, Russian drones, artillery fire, and it's not sexy. Driving up and down the same roads, but it's still dangerous. It's still a combat mission, and they are absolutely essential to making these offensives happen. So it's sort of like in Iraq, one of the most dangerous jobs was truck driver, for reasons that, well, make sense, right? Driving trucks, IEDs, dangerous, combat, high risk. Brave dudes that did it. So, but it's worth acknowledging that it doesn't necessarily have a capital C combat role. Doesn't mean that they are not deserving of immense respect. Probably going to pick up another squad. All right, guys. Shout out to the Sun for always providing us with some cool stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this gear breakdown. I definitely tried to go as in-depth as I could in sizing up sort of how soldiers think about their gear and how they think about their mission. I hope it gives you guys some insights. If you want some access to exclusive video breakdowns that are too spicy for YouTube, become a member of the Patreon. Thanks to my Lieutenant Tier patrons. See you in the next one.